Hello everyone. Today we are going to see the power systems 2 in that unit 3. So, already we have completed the unit 3. Already HOD sir said that in the unit 3 the first topic, that is per unit system. So, that per unit system is completed, the first half of the third unit, and now we are going to see the second half of this unit 3. So, in that unit 3 second half, that is travelling waves on transmission lines. So, what is actually the travelling waves and how these travelling waves will travels on the transmission lines. So, that we are going to see in this unit 3. So, here if you see the syllabus of that, production of travelling waves, and there is a open circuited line and short circuited line. So, what is the behavior of these travelling waves when you are having open circuited line and when you are having short circuited line? And if the line terminated through a resistance, then what happened to the transmission travelling waves? And then the line connected to a cable, if we connect this transmission line to the underground cable, then what happened to the travelling waves on transmission lines, whether it is reflected or refracted, what happens to the travelling waves when it is connected to the cable, and then you are having reflection and refraction at T junction. The line terminated through a capacitance, and there is a capacitor connection at T junction and attenuation of these travelling waves. So, this is what your syllabus of third unit's second part. So, we will see one by one in these lectures. The first one is production of travelling waves. So, before going to the production of travelling waves, just we will go through the what is the learning objectives of this lecture. So, if you see the learning objectives of this lecture, the first one is to understand the production of travelling waves, and the next one is to understand the velocity of travelling waves. So, how much velocity of the travelling wave is there, that means how much velocity it is moving on the transmission lines, we are going to see in this lecture. So, what is the velocity? We are going to calculate that velocity of the travelling waves and how these travelling waves are going to be produced on the transmission lines. So, first we will see production of travelling waves. So, as we know that we are having the transmission line. So, the transmission line we are going to study with the help of two conditions mainly. One is a steady state condition, another one is a transient condition. So, if you go for the transient condition, that means what is the transient? Transient condition is nothing but the magnitude of the wave is very high for or within a short duration of time, as the duration of the time is very less, but the magnitude of that wave is very high. That behavior is called as transient behavior. The steady state behavior is nothing but it is having some magnitude and which is constant throughout the time. As the time is increases, it is constant. So, that is what your steady state operation. For steady state operation of the transmission lines, we are going to consider or we are going to represent that line with lumped parameters. All the parameters are connected at single location, that is nothing but lumped parameters. And for transient analysis, the transient behavior of the line, we are going to represent that transmission line circuit with actual circuits, that is known as distributed parameters. The L and C parameters are going to be distributed along the line length. So, if you consider the long transmission line, so that long transmission line consists of inductance and capacitor banks, that is C and L. L and C combination of these will have throughout the line length. So, if I consider for 50 hertz supply and a short transmission line, the sending end current is equal to the receiving end current, and the change in the voltage from sending end to receiving end is smooth. That is what I am considering. But this condition, when it is in steady state operation, when we are using or when we are studying the behavior of the transmission line under transient conditions, when we are studying the behavior of the transmission line with transient conditions, it is no longer good. That means, for 50 hertz supply, the transmission line, that is short transmission line, is having the sending end current is equal to the receiving end current when it is in steady state operation, but when it is a transient condition it is going to be changes. That means, sending end current is not equal to the receiving end current, and the change in the voltage from sending end to receiving end is not a smooth value, it is a vibrant change is going to be available at the receiving end. So, that is what here we are going to study the transient behavior with the help of travelling waves. So, in the transient analysis only travelling waves are going to be produced. So, let us consider the long transmission line. So, in that long transmission line you are having the load is connected at the load is connected at the receiving end and there is a voltage. So, here you are having voltage. So, this voltage is a generator at a stake. So, that generator is connected to the line and there is a switch is there, S is a switch and there is a load is connected to the receiving end. So, let us consider how the travelling waves are going to be produced. That means, so when you are switching on the long transmission line, that means the switch S is switched on. That means, when your switch is closed, all of sudden the voltage is not going to be transmit all of sudden and which is not all of sudden present at the receiving end side. That means, it is not going to be directly suddenly reaches to the load, but what happens means just it is slowly moving through the transmission line and it will take some finite amount of time to reach that voltage or current from the sending end to the receiving end. So, how it is going to be happens means, let us take an example for that. Let us take an example of a valve, a water valve I am opening, just opening a water valve in a channel. So, you are having the channel of water flowing. So, in that just I am opening the valve. All of a sudden if I open the valve, it is not going to be moves the water from sending end to the receiving end or throughout the channel. All of a sudden it is not going to be filled. When what happens here is, when you open that valve, just slowly it is filling the channel and at the starting it is at the starting of the valve it is filled with water, but at the other end of the channel there is no water, that is it is at dry condition. That means, in order to fill the total channel we require some finite amount of time. So, that means it will take some amount of time. So, here what I am taking is just I am taken 3 chambers which contains empty first before opening the valve. So, when I am opening the valve of the water, then it is slowly filled a chamber. After that filling of the A chamber, it is have that A chamber is having what opening at the upper portion. That means, when this A chamber is going to be gets filled, then only the water is moves to the next chamber, that is chamber B, and then after filling of the chamber B, then water is going to be moves onto the next chamber, that is C. So, like that in our condition also, in electrical transmission lines also, the first the L1 and C1, L1 and C1 are going to be charged first. That means, at the starting when you switched on this switch S, when you switch on the switch S, then what happens at the closing, at the starting of the closing of the switch, the L1 and C1, L1 will act as an open circuit and C1 acts as a short circuit. That means, voltage across the capacitor C1 at the starting when the switch is closed, what is that value? Voltage is equal to 0. That means, at the short circuit voltage is equal to 0. Then what happens here, the C1 across the C1 voltage is 0, but L1 is open circuited. Okay. At the starting of, that means, when you are closing the switch, after that L1 is going to be slowly gets charged and then C1 is going to be gets charged. That means, L1 will allows the current to flow through the C1, then C1 is going to be gets charged. After that charging of the C1, then the L2 is going to be slowly L2 is going to be allows the current, then C2 is going to be gets charged. So, in the same way here, how the water is flowing from one chamber to the other chamber, the same way this here L and C are L1 and C1 are going to be get charged first, then L2 and C2 are going to be gets charged. After the charging of the C2, the next section, that is L3 and C3, and the next section L4 and C4, like that it is continuously gets charging unto the receiving up to receiving end. So, up to the receiving end it is going to be gets charged. So, in the same way, how the water is going to be flows in a different chambers, which is having the upper portion open. So, in the same way the electrical charge is going to be moves on the transmission line, that is voltage and currents. So, here the current wave is associated with the inductor and voltage wave is associated with the capacitor, because L di by dt is the energy stored in the inductor and C dV by dt, that is energy stored in the capacitor. That means, current wave is associated with the inductor and voltage wave is associated with the capacitor. So, here there are two waves are going to be produced. One is the current wave which is associated with the inductor and other wave is called as capacitor here, that is other wave is nothing but the voltage wave which is associated with the capacitor. So, here you are having two waves. So, that two waves moving on the transmission line slowly, so that L and C are going to be gets charged, continuously getting charged, because of that two travelling waves. So, all of a sudden the voltage and currents are not going to be moves towards the receiving end, it will take some time. So, that in that taking of that time, the L and C are going to be gets charged one by one. That means, the we are considering here current and voltage waves are forming and those voltage and current waves are travelling on the transmission lines from sending end to receiving end when you close the switch S. So, if you consider the pi section, equivalent pi section of that long transmission line is this one. So, in this you are going to have the L1, C1, L2, C2 like that up to receiving end you are having the pi sections of the L and C. So, these L1 and C1 are the inductance and capacitance per unit length we are going to consider here. So, in this way the travelling waves are going to be produced. So, if you see the expression for the relation between the voltage and current waves for the travelling wave travelling over the transmission line, if you see, suppose let us consider the wave after the time t has travelled through a distance of x. Let us take here there is a distance x, after some distance x it is travelling a small distance, let us consider dx, which is travelled by the waves in time dt. Let us consider the small time and small distance dx. So, the electrostatic flux is associated with voltage wave. That means, that electrostatic energy is stored in the capacitor. So, that the capacitor is going to be associated with here the energy stored in the capacitor is what? Here C dV by dt. That means, the capacitor is associated with voltage wave. So, in the same way electrostatic flux is associated with voltage wave and electromagnetic energy, that is electromagnetic flux is associated with current wave. So, electrostatic flux which is equals to the charge between the two conductors of the line up to a distance x. So, I am considering a distance x, up to distance x I am considering, that is q is equal to V c into x. Small q is the charge, that charge between the conductors I am calculating, q is equal to capital V capital C into x, x is a distance. So, that distance the travelling wave is transmitted, up to that distance let us consider up to that x distance the travelling wave is travelled. That means, q is equal to V c into x. Next, the current in the conductor is determined by the rate of change of charge, that is rate of change of charge is nothing but I is equal to dq by dt. So, I is equal to dq by dt is nothing but voltage is a V, V c, there is a change in the only distance, as the travelling wave is transferred from sending end to receiving end means there is a change in the distance, that is dx by dt. Okay. Voltage and capacitor values both are constant, they are not going to be changed, only the distance is going to be changed. So, just if I consider the change in the distance, that is V c is equal to dx by dt. So, here dx by dt is the velocity of the travelling wave over the line conductor, and let this be represented by nu, that is nu I am representing, then I is equal to what? V c into nu, right. So, similarly, the electrostatic flux is we have calculated. Similarly, the electromagnetic flux, that that linkage is created around the conductors, that is current flowing through the inductor, up to a distance of x, that is psi is equal to I into L into x you are going to get, that is psi is equal to I L x. Here the psi is nothing but the flux linkages. Okay. So, the voltage is a rate at which the flux linkages link around the conductor, that is V is equal to I L dx by dt, I L dx by dt. So, V is equal to I L dx by dt I am considering as a nu, I L into nu. Let us consider this as a equation 2. The first is I is equal to V c into nu is the first equation. The second equation is V is equal to I into L into nu. Just divide these two equations, that is 1 by 2, V by I. Okay. Divide 1 and 2, that is V by I. Let us take 2 by 1, right. V by I is equal to I L nu by V c nu. So, that is V square by I square is equal to L by C. If I take the V by I, L by C under root, you are going to get. So, this under root of L by C is nothing but natural impedance of the line, that is Zn. Zn is nothing but the natural impedance of the line. It is also called as surge impedance of the line, or it is also called as characteristic impedance of the line. So, when the travelling waves travels along the line, so that Zn value is going to be characteristic impedance or natural impedance or surge impedance of the line is under root of L by C, where Zn is the natural impedance and also called as surge impedance, as I said. So, the value of this impedance, whatever the Zn is there, that Zn value is for overhead transmission line it is 400 ohms, and for underground cables it is 40 ohms. It is around 40 ohms for underground cables. It is very important point for your exam point of view. So, the value competitive exams also you are going to get, what is the value of the overhead transmission line impedance, that is characteristic impedance or surge impedance value for the overhead transmission line is about 400 ohms, and for underground cables it is 40 ohms. It is very important for your exam point of view, right. Now, multiply that equations 1 and 2. So, that is equation 1 is I and equation 2 is this one V. So, just multiply those two equations, V into I is equal to V c nu into I L nu, which is equal to V I L c nu square. Then you are going to get nu square is equal to 1 by L c, nu is equal to 1 by root L c you are going to get. As we know that when we have calculated the short transmission line values, you are going to get the L and C values, that is parameters of the short transmission line. Inductance and capacitance values are L is equal to 2 into 10 to the power of minus 7 ln d by r, natural logarithm d by r, okay. And C is equal to 2 pi epsilon by natural logarithm of d by r farads per meter, that is capacitor value. So, here inductor value is 2 into 10 to the power of minus 7 natural logarithm of d by r Henry per meter. Okay. So, here d is the diameter of the transmission line and r is the radius. Okay. So, here nu is equal to, if I substitute these values L and C in that equation, that is V or nu is equal to 1 by under root of L c, in that if I substitute, then V is nu is equal to 1 by 2 pi into 10 to the power of minus 7, in the place of L I am substituting ln d by r, and into 2 pi in the place of C I am substituting 2 pi epsilon by ln d by r, that is under root. Okay. That value is 4 pi into 10 to the power of minus 7 under root. That means ln d by r gets cancelled, you are going to get that value. So, just if I substitute epsilon value, that epsilon value is 1 by 36 into pi into 10 to the power of minus 9. Just if I substitute that value, then you are if you calculate that, then you are going to get nu is equal to 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second. So, that is velocity or velocity of the travelling wave. Velocity, this 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second is the velocity of the travelling wave. With this velocity, the travelling waves which are travels from sending end to the receiving end in a long transmission line. So, this 3 into 10 to the power of 8 is nothing but it is the velocity of the light. The velocity of the travelling wave is equal to the velocity of the light. So, as we know that the velocity of the light is 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second, the same way the velocity of the travelling waves on the transmission line is 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second. It is also a competitive question. Okay. So, let us see the summary. So, what we have seen till now is the transient behavior of the transmission line represented by their actual circuit parameters, but whereas in the steady state analysis we have represented that with lumped parameters, but in the transient behavior of the transmission line parameters are represented with actual circuits, that is distributed circuits. Okay. And here you are having the value of the natural impedance for overhead transmission line is about 400 ohms for overhead transmission lines, and for underground cables it is 40 ohms only. Okay. The velocity of the propagation of travelling waves over the overhead transmission lines is equals to the velocity of the light, that is 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second. Okay. Right. Thank you everyone. Thank you for listening this class.